Yes, you're tuning and listening to Citizen FM 93.7 Abuja. Every year, May 3rd is when the world celebrates the fundamental principles of press freedom. It is a day to evaluate press freedom around the world, to defend the media from attacks on their independence, and to pay tribute to journalists who've lost their lives in the exercise of their profession. Nigeria has a diverse media landscape. There are about 100 print media outfits, although there's been a sharp decline in recent years. Most of the 36 states in Nigeria also have state-owned media, daily newspapers that is directly controlled by local authorities. There are several hundred radio stations and TV channels alongside international media. The popularity of social media has helped to diversify the media landscape, but it has also contributed to disinformation. Good afternoon and thanks for staying with us here on Citizen FM 93.7 Abuja. You're listening to Perspectives, a roundtable platform for women. I'm your host, Rayo Omotoso. I'm joined on the show today by two phenomenal women, one of which is not here yet. She shall be sanctioned to keep us waiting on such a day like this. But I have before me the greats, phenomenal, amazing, formidable journalist. I have Rafatu Salami. She's the former secretary of the Nigerian Union of Journalists for FCT chapter.
Yes.
She is also a member of the International Press Institute, IPI. Good afternoon, ma'am, and thanks for joining me.
Thank you so very much for having me.
I'm still shaking because you are the legends of before, and I feel like this is me taking baby steps.
Those are borrowed ropes. We are colleagues. Let's just get moving.
Yes, ma'am. So the state of press freedom around the world, let's just, start the conversation from there. Can we discuss the state of press freedom globally? Have we progressed, or we're still in the dark ages, or we've made some progress, but then again, due to circumstances, we've moved back? How would you describe the state of press freedom?
The state of press freedom is, as always, fluctuating.
Absolutely.
It's undulating. It's not a flat plane.
Yes.
And the war in Ukraine, the crisis in Yemen, especially when there is crisis, there is usually, hindrances to the freedom of reporters. The Russia-Ukraine war, and now we have this Sudan. Sudan has joined the list.
It just feels like Sudan is a never-ending cycle of, since the 90s. It just also seems like that country is always in turmoil. One year they have peace.
Unfortunately for them, they don't understand that unless and until you desire peace, you're not going to have it.
Absolutely.
Somebody's just have to give way.
Yes,
for there to have peace.
Yes.
And for me, it's a lesson for us in Nigeria.
For the people who are advocating for war.
To understand that when war comes, there is no comfort zone anymore.
No.
The central bank in Sudan was touched.
Yeah.
There is restriction. In fact, there's absolute near total chaos in Sudan, and Nigeria is struggling as we speak to evacuate its citizens there. And it's a nightmare because I'm in the situation room, I'm monitoring what is going on there. It's nightmarish both for the officials working to evacuate and those who are going through it. It's nightmarish. We should never ever wish war on this country. So once there is a breakdown in law and order, you are going to see that the rights of reporters, of journalists will be infringed upon.
Yeah.
Yes, that's just what the scenario is. And some countries are actually doing, as usual, they're doing well, according to Reporters Without Borders, that has continued to rank media freedom across the world.
I was just checking out that today Nigeria has gone from 129, we've dropped to 120. I was looking at the report. I'm not sure how accurate that is. But
129 to 120?
Yes, I think that's what I saw this morning. That's why I haven't.
No, if it is 129 to 120, then it means we did
progress than we did in 20, because they mentioned something. I wasn't too sure of it, so I didn't want to quote the data.
I think you got the wrong data, because what we saw, Nigeria actually is not doing as well as it should
be. Yes, especially given the last general elections that we just concluded now.
No, the ranking for this year will come out next year.
Yeah.
So the ranking for
2021 is what we're using.
No, the ranking for 2022.
Okay, so that is 123 to 120. I'm not too sure about it.
123.
It's 123, right?
Yes.
I think that will be for 2023. But for 2022.
And what Reporters Without Borders is saying is that journalism, is going through a tumultuous time right now, and that the crisis around the world, like we mentioned, is the reason why a lot of countries, a lot of media houses in different countries is going from situations that are problematic. And they say the environment for journalism is continuing to go bad in 7 out of 10 countries and satisfactory in only 3 out of 10.
So, as journalists, how can we work together with the government, civil society? Because I want to quickly quote a few days ago. I can't remember if it was the chief press secretary for this current administration was doing an appraisal, and they said no journalist was killed in the last 8 years of this administration. So, making it look like journalists had a good time in the past couple of years. So, was there something we did right? Will you say it was a fair? Will you say it's a fair analysis?
Oh, it is. Facts are facts. You cannot dispute facts.
Yes.
The fact is, no journalist has been killed in active duty
in the last 8 years.
Yes, in a job, in your job-related incident.
Absolutely.
None. So before then, we had, incidences of channels in Kano where reporters were killed while they were on duty, and we know they were associated with insurgency and the rise in insurgency. So the facts are facts. You cannot dispute the fact that none has been killed, but we've had arrests.
Yes,
we've had arrests, and when we talk about this arrest, IPI, the International Press Institute, Nigeria.
Yes,
when we visited the Inspector General of Police, we made him understand that those who use the police to arrest journalists indiscriminately they are non-state actors.
No.
But they are using the Nigerian police. And then what IPI told the IGP was for him to let his officers and men understand that they cannot indiscriminately, regardless of who it is, pick up a journalist. So you will see that it may not. We visited the Minister of Information, Alhaji Lai Mohammed, and we explained to him that if somebody in Kano, if somebody in Zaria, if somebody in Kogi, wherever across this country, uses his power or influence to pick up a journalist, it counts against the federal government.
It does.
The minister we mentioned some instances to him, and the minister said he was not even aware of those instances. And we know he could possibly not be aware, because these are not actions that are taken up by government. But these are influential members of the society using either their positions in government or their affiliation to government and using government apparatus to pick up journalists. So the situation, yes, nobody has died, but we desire and deserve a better atmosphere for us to be able to do our jobs.
Absolutely, ma'am. I agree with you on all counts. Was there any solution he preferred at that meeting, as to say that, okay, going forward, now that he's aware, is there any way to curb it?
Oh, yes. Going forward, what he said was that we must, IPI, the NUJ, and all civil society must interface.
Yes.
We must have a meeting point where when we hear some of these things, we should report to the appropriate authorities immediately.
Yes.
And sanctions will be meted out. What IPI was actually advocating for was for serious sanctions to be meted out.
Yes.
For anyone who is found to be using his power and influence to make it difficult for the journalist to do his job. And the IPI also went ahead to even visit some embassies. And IPI said it's going to open a black book.
Beautiful.
That when it opens that black book, if we know that you use your influence to, hound a journalist, stop a journalist, we'll register your name in the black book. And when your name gets into the black book, all embassies will
be notified.
Yes, will have access to that black book. Good. It's a very difficult call, but the IPI says it's going to do that.
It is doable. So
it is doable.
I like that everybody is working together, because it almost feels like journalists in Nigeria, we don't have life insurance. Nobody cares. Just go do your job and come back. Even your employers, sometimes they can throw you under the bus.
All the time.
I said something else. Said all the time.
Yes, because actually one of the greatest impediment to press freedom, in my opinion,
yes,
as a unionist, as somebody who has been in active
service,
unionism, media-related unionism, is to say that job security for journalists is very, very bad. And the salary we take, if we take at all. As we speak, there are organizations that are owing journalists 12 months. At least, they tell us 12 months salary. Some 4 months, some 6 months. If you do not pay, meanwhile, the pay itself, if it were to be put on a scale, is below what the journalists should actually earn. Now, you are paying below what the journalists should earn, and yet you are not paying as and when due. So you already set that journalist up for corruption. You set him up for brown envelope syndrome. You set that to compromise at any point in reportage or investigation.
Yes.
And many journalists in Nigeria are actually casual workers. They are not full-time staff.
So that's what I want to ask. But it is not new. Year in, year out is the same thing. In fact, we know some notorious media houses.
Yes.
In fact, before you go and work there, they already tell you that. Are you aware that this is... Why do we allow these standards? And I want to ask you, for someone who works with the Nigerian Union of Journalists, I've never heard journalists in Nigeria go on strike. I've never heard...
It's difficult for journalists to go on strike. It's near impossible for journalists to go on strike.
Why? So how will they take... They don't take the plight seriously.
No. It's not because we don't take the plight of the journalists seriously. We do. But journalism is so fluid and diverse.
That's true.
That is... Okay, so we cannot black out.
No.
It's not even possible.
No.
You can't... Imagine waking up and there is no news. I'm going to go crazy. In fact, just thinking about it is making my brain to spin.
True.
You're gonna go crazy without news.
So the job goes on.
The job has to go on. But what we've been doing, which I know the NUJ is continuing to do, is to isolate such media houses, address the situation in those media houses. And I will tell you that even us as journalists, many people will still go back to work there the following day.
It's the truth. That's what I'm saying.
That's what I'm saying. But why do you go back? Why do you go back there?
When you're growing up, you watch the likes of Tokunbo Ajayi, Lola Lakija on TV, and we're all inspired. And then you grow up and they tell you, oh, this job is all glamour. There's no money.
There's no money in this job.
So that's why we go back the following day, even when you're not paid. There's no
money on the job. We love the most patriotic people in this country are journalists. They will do their jobs regardless. And that is what many media employers are taking
advantage of.
And then if you decide to quit today, if a journalist decides to quit his job today because he's not paid, there are 10 more willing to take your space.
That's you've described the typical Nigerian scenario. So that is what makes it difficult.
That is why, but it's not a hopeless situation.
Okay, so I would really like to hear how.
It's not hopeless.
Because
it's not hopeless.
I was going to go
because we have to call, name, and shame those media houses. We have to also blacklist them. We have to make them understand that what they are doing is wrong, and that it's not right for journalism. And the owners, unfortunately, the owners of those media houses are usually living a very large
lifestyle.
So that is why that blacklisting of such people will also come in, so that even if they want to transact business anyway, we should let them know. No, go and fulfill your contractual obligations to your staff.
Yes,
to go and fulfill it before you can do anything.
You're listening to the voice of Rafat Salami. May I call you Haja?
Yes, I just love to be called by my name. I'm fine like that.
I know journalists. That's the standard, actually. Yes, and it is not out of disrespect that I say that.
No, that's my name.
Yes. So she's a formidable journalist, the former secretary of the Nigerian Union of Journalists FCT chapter, and a member of the International Press Institute Nigeria. If you'd like to send in your contributions, please do that via WhatsApp or just dial 0818 22 22 206 or 0818 22 22 205. Today is the International Today is World Press Freedom Day. I'm so used to saying international. And so today is the day we evaluate press freedom around the world, but we're focusing here in Nigeria. Excuse me, because this is where we are. I beg your pardon. This is where we thrive and we live. The state of press freedom in the world is what we've just been chatting on. But I want to ask my guests about the impact of technology. When the world of social media, social media were in the world of technology, and 5 years ago, in fact, let me say 6 years ago, when they used to call it new media started, a lot of media houses were like, how are they going to thrive? Especially print media. We used to have Free Readers Association. We don't see that anymore. It's just very few media houses that even print physical, what they call it, newspapers now. But how has social media and digital platforms, how has it changed the way we report, and disseminate news? I know one of the biggest problems right now is fake news. Everybody's a journalist. Yes, everybody.
As you have taken it from there.
Yes.
Let me just, I'll take you back to Reporters Without Borders.
Okay.
What the Secretary General Christopher said. He said in his quote to commemorate World Press Freedom Day.
Yes.
He said that it is volatile.
Yes.
Across the world, and he added that the volatility is also the consequence of a growth in the fake content industry, which produces and distributes disinformation and provides the tools for manufacturing it.
Yeah.
So technology, as we have it, has led to the growth in the production, and it's so easy now to produce fake news.
Anybody can just sit down.
Anybody, as long as you have a smartphone,
yes,
you can produce fake news. You can distribute, and because some of these the things that are produced on those platforms, are things that are relatable.
That's the word.
They are relatable. So it goes viral.
You won't even probe it further to find out how credible.
Nobody's probing. Nobody's probing.
Yes.
In fact, when those information, you say, and I've been saying it. It goes into your conscience, what you've thought, your fears. Yeah. It harvests it, produce it, and distribute.
And the next thing we do is share with the next person and the next person.
Unfortunately, mainstream media picks it up. I heard a story that former Senator Ekweremadu has been sentenced to 5 years, to 10 years. Yes. But his sentence is supposed to be on May 5.
Which is today, actually.
Today is May 5.
Sorry, it's on Friday. I beg your pardon. Friday.
That is what they said. But somebody, and when I watched the clip of the video, what the person did was to harvest all the reports around it and looked at the Constitution and what he can possibly face, and the penalty is 10 years to life imprisonment. So it depends. He has back 10 years. And it went viral. And we saw it on many platforms. I was actually tired of telling people that the sentencing is going to be on May 5th.
May 5th, which is Friday.
And if DSP Ekweremadu is sentenced, it cannot be hush-hush.
No.
All the mainstream medias
will have the information.
Yes, it will be on mainstream media. I was tired of correcting people, so I just let it go.
WhatsApp platforms are the worst. Once it goes viral there's nothing. It's like there's a loose cannon.
It's a loose cannon. No stopping it.
No stopping.
At least the other platforms like Twitter have some regulation.
Yes.
And when you report it,
immediately they can take it down.
They can take it down.
Yes.
But in WhatsApp, it's free.
So, but in WhatsApp, I discovered that WhatsApp also has their own way of mitigating. I think you can't forward a post more than 4 times.
No, you can't forward to a group.
Yes.
You can only forward to one group.
Exactly.
So by the time you do it continuously, maybe they hope you get tired. They hope you get tired and stop. But those who want to do havoc,
exactly,
will do havoc.
I mean, they can gather themselves together to sponsor content that they know it's damaging to someone's reputation. They know that it's...
And there is a cyber crimes law in this country. When people, if you read that cyber crimes, you can go to jail for life.
Well, we don't talk about it enough.
Yeah, because we are not prosecuting using the cyber crimes law. We need to prosecute more people. The purveyors of fake news, they are very disingenuous and they can cause a war in this country. We need to prosecute them. And journalism is not what the citizens journalist is doing.
No.
What the citizens journalist is doing is he looks at information where he is, takes it, shares it. You, the professional journalist, will not do that.
No.
You look at a scenario, you ask questions.
Exactly.
You seek clarification.
Yes.
You put a perspective to it before you publish. Because things are actually not what they seem to be.
No.
In most cases. They are not what they seem to be. So you need to get all-round information. And there are more than two sides to a story.
Always. That's the first one of the rules that
we're taught. There are more than two sides to a story. So you cannot see one thing and say, oh, that is a story.
And conclude.
No, you cannot do that. The trained journalist would not do that.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Today is World Press Freedom Day. It is not an opportunity to witch hunt any person or institution, but it is a period for us to celebrate the fundamental principles of press freedom, to assess the state of press freedom throughout the world, defend the media from attacks on their independence, and to pay tribute to journalists who are either human rights defenders, who are currently in custody or captivity, or have lost their lives in the line of duty. I have to take this quick break. When I come back, we'll continue with our guests.
Call to Prayer is sponsored by the Nigeria Supreme Council for Islamic Affairs.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illa أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة